Winter technically starts on December 21st, but you know what? Today it feels a lot like spring with that record-breaking warmth and humidity.
Right, and one of the big questions on a lot of people's minds is this the result of climate change? Well, to help us better understand all of the factors that are going on right now, Dr. Jonathan Martin, professor of atmospheric and oceanic sciences at UW-Madison, joins us once again. Hi, Jonathan, great to see you.
Hi, Susan. Great to see you, too.
So 67 degrees today in Madison.
Yeah.
Put that in perspective for us. How unusual is that?
It is the highest temperature Madison's ever recorded in the month of December since at least 1939, and perhaps longer than that. So that is very unusual. The last time we were even close was the 3rd of December in 2012, so nearly 10 years ago. Interestingly, we are in the middle of December. So it's not so unusual to find a few days in the month, the first couple of days of December, where the temperature reaches nearly 60 degrees, but it's rare to find them after the 12th of the month. In fact, this is only the 3rd time ever we've been above 60 after the 12th of December, and it's the all-time monthly record set on the 15th. Wow. Simply unbelievable. And I'll point out, I heard a comment, I think, from Brady about the dew point. The dew point temperature is 58. That's an almost uncomfortable late spring, early summer day. So it's simply unbelievable what we're experiencing today.
Well, and then to pose that question, is this a result of climate change?
Well, you know, it's not always easy to make such a call when the event's happening. I can say that there are reasons to suspect that because the extremity of the temperature and the extremity of the water vapor content leads one to believe that something bigger than the regional scale or the storm scale is conspiring to produce these unusual conditions. On the other hand, the day-to-day variability in the weather is vast, and it has lots of tricks up its sleeve. And so pulling this one out of its sleeve and driving these temperatures into record sort of locations may also be just part of the way that the natural variability plays out, given a whole bunch of circumstances. A very strong La Nina in the Pacific, which tends to keep the subtropical jet a little bit weaker, and a very strong polar jet that's come raging out of the Bering Sea at the same time. It's hard to know whether or not in a non-global warming world could we have gotten quite this extreme, but the chances are we would have gotten really close, if not to the same level.
Yeah, so you can't take an individual weather event, in other words, and attribute that to climate change, like what we're having specifically today. And these wild swings in Wisconsin are not really unprecedented, are they?
No, there have been some really crazy things that have happened. I think Veterans Day 1911, before it was actually Veterans Day, Janesville began the day with severe thunderstorms and a weak tornado, and the end of the day, there was 6 inches of snow. So strange things like that can happen in natural variability, and one expects about 110 years ago it was less contaminated than it is now by our changing of the composition of the atmosphere. So the pre-global warming, in other words. So one gets the impression that there's so much variability that has to be the primary thing you look to when you try to explain how crazy the weather is. However, when you get one after another strange event, we had an unusual tornado and tragic tornado outbreak in Kentucky just earlier this week, and now we've got this thing on our own back door. You have to start to wonder if the game isn't a little bit rigged, and I think that it is, and that's where the global warming comes in.
How concerned are you about what we could be looking at later tonight?
I'm pretty concerned. I think the severe threat for the state of Wisconsin is probably minimal, with the exception of La Crosse. They're in a moderate risk for severe weather. So right on the river in the western part of the state, west central part of the state, really it could be a little bit more scary than anybody's ever seen in December. For the rest of us, strong winds and strong sustained winds. I mean, we may have sustained winds in the 40 to 50 knot range, and then gusts that exceed barely weak hurricane force gusts. And so it's going to be really wild tonight. You'll hear it howling outside. You'll be glad all the leaves are down because that's going to take the sail effect off the trees. But I'm sure there's still going to be some limbs down and probably some power lines down and some substantial impact from strong, strong winds. It's a remarkable storm that we're about to experience.
Well, Jonathan, it's wonderful to always have an opportunity to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. We hope everyone gets through tonight safely with no major problems, but great to have a chance to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Brady.